Virgo for the winter of 2016 running into 2017. For those of you all around the globe here, our winters in Canada here run from December 21st to March 19th. That's what they consider the season. So I was a little off. I'm thinking November, December here, but December 21st to March 19th. So that'll be the time zone that we're looking at here for this reading. Kicking it off for these Virgos, heed the messenger. So I feel like there's a lot of information around you, a lot of information coming to you, a lot of curious stuff coming through, not, I want to say the grapevine, but coming through the channels that need to be. I feel like, because usually it's heed the messengers, like give the message that they got to listen. I feel like these Virgos are listening. I feel they're taking it in, and I feel they're ready to act when they need to. The crossing card is focus and then act. I feel they may be ready to jump the gun here a little bit. So they need to hold off. I think some of these Virgos are getting information that they feel like they need to go right away. They need to charge in. I think you better hold off here. There might be a few little caveats in the information that you got here. That time will reveal things of an essence, of a value to you, that you'd be glad that you didn't jump here, because you just needed to figure there's a few more keys here that you needed to kind of unlock. You would have been running to the wrong house with the wrong key type thing. There's a sense of urgency here, that there's this information you need to act, you need to jump in, you need to whatever. And basically the crossing card is focusing. So I think you just need to take that time to focus a little more before you jump. You're going to feel itchy. You're going to have that itchy feet feeling. You're going to want to jump in there. As soon as you get that information, just hold off a little bit. There's going to be some key stuff coming in after the fact. And then you're going to go, ah, yes, okay. And then it's going to clarify things for you to a high degree so that you can move forward. I'm not quite sure what area that is, but we'll continue on. Just share your thoughts. I'm getting a sense that some of these Virgos are really hibernating a lot of information, and they're just not willing to go forward with it. I feel you vacillating. It's like, should I or shouldn't I? Should I or shouldn't I say anything? And not really getting a clear answer here either way, but as we go on, I'll figure that out. But yeah, there's a definite divide. Is should I share or shouldn't I? So that's kind of weighing on your mind right now. It's I got all this information, I got all these thoughts, I got things that I need to figure out, that I'm trying to figure out, and I do not know if I need to be sharing that right now. And the energy that's passing away is do not fear the unknown, and I feel like this is part of the decision-making process for you. I feel like there may have been a fear that you have been holding in, or has been hovering over you to make you jump to these decisions. And I feel like obviously that's going to be passing away. So maybe that is the time that is needed until this negative energy is kind of passing away, until we get clarity. And then we can make decisions, then we can act from it, and then we can jump from it. So it's almost like that energy of fearing the unknown really has to be cleared from your slate before you can, before you can focus, and before you can think about what it is that you truly need to come forth with or not. Yeah, pretty heightened awareness of these Virgos, what they're going through right now. So in your near future, time to reflect. I feel whatever it is, like there's a real high voltage to this energy that you're sitting on. You're kind of just waiting, and you're waiting on information. The information's got to hit you. It's got to get downloaded, and then when you get that information, you got to beware not to jump too quick. And not only that, react from a negative instead of a positive. And I feel like there's a great divide here. I think you're seeing clearly both sides of it. I think you're leveling it out. But you have to make sure that you are on the right side of things. I think there might be a tendency to come from the negative or indulge in the negative side of things. It's kind of like the tipping point is on that negative. So you have to wait until that clears to at least a 60-40 split on the good side. And then you need to reflect on all of this. Okay, why was it that it was 60-40 the other way and now it's switched? What am I seeing differently, and how is that affecting, you know, things as I go here. And then, so that is your immediate future, is time to reflect. So taking that time, needing it. I don't think you're going to have to actually need someone to kick you in the butt to do it. I think you're going to do it. I think you're really going to, I mean, that's just part of your process. That's part of your lineage, the lines you're going on, that's the way it's going to go. Just being careful with that decision-making skill. It's almost like there's a decision that needs to be made here, that you just don't act too quick. Don't act too quick. That's all it's saying. In your distant future, we have stay strong. So there's really a pillar of strength here on the interior of these people's souls, these Virgos. They're really coming from a pillar of strength. And so it's just really stating, keep that strength. Don't let anybody play with it, waver with it, or bring you down, in a sense. I don't think they could, really. Virgos are quite in their power. But I think sway here is depending on other people's opinion. You just really have to trust your own viewpoint here, and your own heart, soul, and mind, and lining that up, because it's the imbalance of the heart, soul, and mind that is kind of going back and forth. So know that you belong. I get a sense, as soon as that card came out, when I shuffled it, I get a sense it's not so much the insecurity here as much as feeling out of your depths, feeling like you're not, man, this is just too much for me, too out of my realm. I cannot grasp this. It's just not in my, in the mentality. It's kind of out of my grasp. So, not that you're not, I don't see that there's not a wisdom for it. It's just really out of the scope of things that you really have any experience with. So that's that thing. And knowing that you belong is, don't let that filter you into a position where your opinion doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. Even though this is so hard to encompass, so hard to accept these opinions coming at you, whether it's people, family, work, again, it could go in all areas, and it may go in all areas at the same time, these different viewpoints, these different things coming your way. Just know that there is a reason that you are here, even though this is out of your depth. There's a reason that you are here, and the reason is that strong, steady foundation, and that there's always got to be, certain viewpoints to make up a one final decision. I feel like your opinion is part of a greater whole that needs to really, it just needs to be seen. Your side of things really needs to be spoken for. So you just need to stand up for that. Nourish the soul. Feel like been doing a lot of hard work lately. Maybe take a little bit of time off. Take a little time to rest. There is no downside to this at this point, so don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you should be. I feel like these Virgos really got itchy feet. Like I should be. I can't take time. I gotta da-da-da. And it's like, nope. This is the time to pause. And this is the time to do it over the winter. December, January. I'm getting February for sure. This is a huge time where I think Virgos in particular are going to be given a free pass there. And not only that, I think their mind will just go, you know what, yeah, I need a break. I need to just check out, and I'm going to do it. So don't feel guilty about that. The next card that comes here is make the sacrifice, and I feel that that isn't in the work field for these Virgos, I think, or whatever it is. Whatever it is you're plugging away at, whatever it is you're spending all your energy on, you really do have to sacrifice that to get to the clarity. Because you're really, I don't know that it's a sense of being bogged down as much as not knowing where to go and what to do at this point. It's like you've hit a wall. And taking the time out to, vacation, whatever it is, break, even if it is just to kind of not worry about the stuff you've been worrying about, then you need to, sacrifice. If you need to take 2 weeks off, go take 2 weeks off. If you need to leave the country to feel rested, then do that. That's kind of really this, it could be a dark card, but I feel it more like make the sacrifice to nourish your soul. And then what it does is it leads to your end result card, which is we're all connected. And it just lets you lay back enough to realize the bigger picture. That's really what it is. I think you're getting so bogged down with everything, you're just right in it, and you're not relaxing enough to let things go. You're really kind of tied up and wound up. I'm seeing a ball of just, and it's all over the place. There's threads hanging out and they're not connected, and so it's wound up, wound around, and just really not. I really do feel if you don't, around the, after Christmas, if you don't take that break, you're really not going to make any headway anyway. You're going to need a break to clear the slate in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, whatever it is that, like I said, that you've been plugging away with. Because you really, another one that's got their head down and they're doing their thing. And they need to have that break, because it's just going to clarify things. It's going to alleviate that tension that you got built in certain areas. It's gonna relax the mind enough to let some new thoughts in, and it's gonna take you away from the focus enough that you can focus on other things, which will in turn bring fresh energy to the things that you had before. You just gotta disconnect from a lot of that stuff. Disconnect from it, and then you'll find the path here is a little smoother. But I'm feeling a very intense urge to act upon something, but yet you're waiting on someone else to give you instruction, or waiting on someone else to fill in the blanks. And as soon as they do, man, you're just gonna go, and you need to just hold your thoughts, hold your action until that information comes in, and then not only that, stop and reflect, because you're gonna get some more information over that time that's going to be key to you figuring things out in a smoother, more progressive way. So the animal card for clarification here is Polar Bear. It says, stand up for yourself and speak your truth respectfully and compassionately without attachment to outcome. So stand up for yourself and speak your truth. I think you have no problem standing up for yourself. I think that is something that comes very easily and very efficiently to you. But what I do think you have a problem with is attaching to the outcome. I think the outcome, you're very focused on the outcome, and that may be the reason that you think you have to act so quickly, is like, we got to get this moving, we got to get this going, this is enough of this. That's what I'm getting. But the outcome itself really depends on you being an individual that holds back on things, and it's going to be very much in conflict with your nature, because your nature is going to be to plow forward, and go right through this. As soon as you get the information, you're going to go and you're going to do. It's almost like you feel like you're on a timeline here, but I think what the universe is trying to say here is just hold off for a little bit, because it will be much more productive if you give it the time to let all the pieces fall in. And I think that you may have people coming at you, and you may figure that you've got all the answers, but you really won't. You will not have all the pieces. And if you run too soon, things can crumble. Things can get thrown out of joint, out of, just things are, you just have to wait. This information, it's very strongly coming, that you just need to wait and sit on it a bit, reflect a little bit. It's going to be very hard for you to do, because you feel that time is of the essence in this situation, when it absolutely is not. We got all the time in the world. They're saying all the time in the world. Time is not an issue. So if that in itself helps, that is really what you have to take into account here, Virgo. Time is not of the issue here. It's the subject matter and how it comes across, and we need to get all our ducks in a row before we get going to the park, going through the water, whatever, wherever they're going to go. We got to get them in a row first. And I feel like you may think like you got all your ducks, but you'll be missing a couple, and you won't know until you look back and you go, oh, there's 2 waddlers over there, we got to go get those 2. And if you don't reflect on that, you're just going to go, well, what the hell, like, you're going to be really at odds with things. And talk about feeling like you don't belong. That's really where it's going to show, is if you go forward with this information before it's time, before, like, too soon. So really a hypersensitive situation here that you're going to have to hold your reins to. And I feel like people that are driven to get to this reading will be able to thwart that, but ones that aren't, I'm worried, because it is kind of almost like a catastrophe could happen here. But to be aware of that and to know that they're, I think what it is you're really feeling that you are, well, one, the ability, it's interesting, how do I translate? Many situations, it's like the ability and the strength that you have to come across to people. You realize the effect that you can make, and in that is the mistake that can be made, because that is of your nature to do that, but you have to go against nature and let time heal here a little bit, because it seems like there's going to be issues that are unforeseen from the information. I cannot put it into words enough, and it does seem to be dire. It does seem to be something that these Virgos are taking very seriously and very panicky about, almost to the extent of panic stricken with this information that they get. And it's like, I got to take it from this source and get it to this source and then affect this source. And there's something that's going to be lost in that, because one, they didn't get all the information. They got to get a part 1 and a part 2, and they got to wait until they get it all. Then they got to reflect. Then they got to stay strong, and then they got to kind of reboot and reschedule, because, you know, looking at the A and the B of a package here, you got to put them both together, and it's almost like it could be conflicting information, and that's really maybe what the time to reflect is about, is how do we put this together when this is this and this. You know, you got to give good and bad, or it could be good and bad news, or it could be you know, for and against news. It's just stuff that really picking up an urgency for these people to want to kick in. These Virgos, they want to kick in, they want to make things matter, they want to make a difference, and they're just going to have to hold off jumping the gun, because that's really what's going on here. It's a jump the gun situation, and it could be, you know, a lot worse than you can even perceive if you do that. So just hold off, have a little patience. It's funny the patience card doesn't come through here, but basically standing up for what you believe in with compassion and respect, with no attachment to the outcome. I feel like the attachment to the outcome is really what is driving this. It's like, no, we gotta, because it's either gonna hurt someone or help someone, and you need to get there in due time, and you know, that's enough of this. That's really what I'm getting, is enough of this, enough of this. You know, and feeling like getting the information there as soon as you get it, again, not being complete, it's really gonna not make it better. It's gonna make things worse for those. It's almost like there's a direct line here between people, a middleman. I don't know, it's hard to express, really. This reading is complicated, but the message being, hold off till you get all your information in one shot. There's an A package, then there'll be a little bit of a pause, and then there'll be more information on that same unit of thought coming through, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, if I would have went when I had this information, I would have been wrong. I would have been pushing for the wrong things, so I need to not do that. And you know, and you'll be glad that you did, glad that you held off, even though you felt the push and just not really. You got to understand that whole process. Yeah. So taking time to nourish the soul is very important. Taking time to back off things, very important. You got your head down and you're really not paying much attention to your intuition, and that's another thing here that needs to come through. And getting the sense it's just not gonna, but if you back off enough and nourish your soul, you might get a little more clarity. Hopefully that makes sense to some Virgos out there. So anyway, the winter reading, so from December 21st to March 19th for 2016-17 season here, that is the Virgo reading. So take care, be kind, and have fun, and don't get too stressed out.